सहना भवतु
ॐ सहना भवतु
सहनौ भुनक्तु
सहनौ भुनक्तु
सह वीर्यं करवावहै
सह वीर्यं करवावहै
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु
मा विद्विषावहै
मा विद्विषावहै
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
वसुदेवेन्द्रयोगीन्द्रम् दत्त्वा
वासुदेवे
ज्ञानप्रदं गुरु
वासुदेवेन्द्रयोगीन्द्रम् नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुम्
मुमुक्षूणां हितार्थाय तत्त्वबोधोऽभिधीय
मुमुक्षूणां हितार्थाय तत्त्वबोधो विधीयते.
God bless it. Yes, we are on the very important fulcrum of Vedanta, something which is the knowledge of it is in nature, its phalam is liberation to a person. People have different ideas of what gives liberation. Each person has their own understanding of what liberation is. But Vedanta is the most direct, clear, unambiguous method and approach it has, which rests plainly on very acute, keen observation of one's experiences. It's based on observation, keen observation, acute observation of what one is already experiencing in the name of life. Not observation of just mere sense engagements and what they bring to us. That level of observation between sense organs and their objects will help us gain Chitta Shuddhi, Vairagyam importantly. But Vedanta is not really addressing that sort of an observation. Like we said yesterday, apple falls and then you observe and then you gain some knowledge regarding the world. That observation will help you to some extent. This is entirely scientific observation, but even observation of, say, law of karma. When I do something wrong, I get back something which is also not as auspicious as I generated. Or if I've done something good, I also get back something good. Now, this is not under any scientifically proven observational data, but it is an observation of an unfailing law. These laws or this kind of an observation will certainly help to align one's personality to natural laws of life. But Vedanta is much more than that. Vedanta is about observation, remaining in a very neutral gear within oneself, with neutrality in your mind. Neutrality means no ragadvesh, minimized ragadvesh. No is a very idealistic state where ragadvesh are not the anchor of your viewpoint, where your ego is not the anchor of your viewpoint. Maintaining a neutral mind, neutral state of your antakaranam, you are observing life. You know how the closest is, of course, again, the example goes back into the world to help us understand here. If you read any biography or autobiography or a chronicle of bird watchers, those who watch the bird behavior, it's very fascinating, or amphibian behavior, animal behavior. It's very interesting to know how much time they spend on just observing a life cycle of a particular species of bird. Entire life, your own human life will be spent on observation of a species of bird and just observing. By observation, what are you getting? You're observing a repetitiveness of a behavior of an animal. It's very important what I'm saying. What are the bird watchers doing? Sheer observation. They have very beautiful, very high lensed microscopic lenses, cameras, etc. To observe what? Just the behavior of a species of bird. You have seen a bird, a beautiful blue colored bird. I don't know the name of this bird. I don't know the behavior of this bird. And in the morning today, I heard her a very distinct sound. I'd never seen this bird before. Now, suddenly there is a different call your ears are picking up. It's not the normal birds that you have heard. This is something different. Now you need to know what is this bird. The minute you start observing, you're not a bird watcher. You don't have the patience to watch through. Mark my words carefully. I don't have the patience to watch through the cycle of the bird to gain what? Information about what the bird is. Observation of a repetitiveness of what there is that is happening. Turn this observation inward on your own self. When you turn this neutral observation to your own self, remaining neutral, you're observing what you have called your life, what you have called yourself as a person, what you have called your own being, everything to do with yourself. Just maintaining a neutral stance. When you observe, there is a repetitiveness through which you gain knowledge. That knowledge, which is actually discoverable by everybody, but nobody has the patience, or most do not have the patience or the quietude required or the inclination for it, and therefore we have Shastra, because the rishis spent time observing this, what is inwardly happening to all of us. Human species. What is the human species about? What is the bird watcher watching? I wish I had my phone with me or camera with me. I would have taken the photograph of that bird and brought it here because it was a rare bird. I don't know, but I need to know about that bird. There is some curiosity. There is some jignasa. That call was very different from all the early morning bird calls. I had never seen that bird in my vicinity before. There is a jignasa. There is a quest to know that took birth the minute I found something different. The same thing has propelled inward observation of many a human being to know what is happening here within me. What is it that is propelling what I call as me in my life? Is this the conclusive, what I have concluded as myself, is this conclusive about me? Then what is there that I keep constantly searching about, searching for, or what do I want in life? What happiness do I have, do I seek that I think will be enough for me? How much of a happiness is going to be enough for me? What is it that through everything that I keep wanting and yet I keep wanting at the end of it? I haven't found that cessation. Will it ever come? When there is a lot of jigyasa like this, the quest for wanting to know comes within. This quest is what is the fulcrum of Vedanta. This text has helped us arrive at that through a systematical observational point, which we miss because our attention is somewhere else. But the rishis have brought it out, and thanks to Vedanta Parampara that is still alive in creation, that this keeps getting handed to every generation. And sure enough, some of us turn the attention to where we are supposed to turn. If before death you are supposed to know something more, what is it that it helps to know? Atma kaha. What is your nature? What do you arrive at through observation of your own self? You arrive at the point of saying, there is one changeless me. There is one changeless experience I have. Me, forget the word me because it can be confusing. Which me am I referring to? There is a changeless experience that I have. And that changeless experience is ever luminous. It is ever present. It is changeless as ever. The difficult way to explain. It is just ever there. It never is not there. Now, to help someone understand, like you and me, who are so caught up in our life thinking, like yesterday I said, the limited me, my name, my form, my body, my thoughts, इसके अलावा मुझे कुछ भी नहीं पता. If my attention is so focused and restricted and habituated to only looking at myself like this, then how do I understand the changeless experience that I have, for which this whole prakriya has been going on? This, you're not the gross body, because I've identified the gross body in my experience. मैं ये शरीर हूँ. Therefore, Vedanta says, ये वो changeless experience नहीं है, because ये gross body has asti, jayate, vardhate, viparinamate, apakshiyate, vinashyate. It ends. ये वो changeless experience नहीं है. Then what? My thoughts, नहीं, ये वो changeless experience नहीं है. Then what? From where they come, where I'm holding avidya of not knowing, नहीं, ये वो changeless experience नहीं है. Therefore, I have negated the three bodies. This is not that changeless experience. That is your own experience. Look further, look deeper, look acutely, be more observant of what is happening. Then comes this further to help us be more observant. The author says, Vedanta says here, look at your waking state. What is happening in the waking state? What is it that I'm calling I'm awake now? When I woke up in the morning and nobody told me I am awake. That is the most fascinating statement. मेरे को किसी ने उठा के, I had my cup of tea, I went out, and then after some time, this you will hear me repeat many times because I find it very fascinating that I did not need someone to verify to me that I'm awake. This is a very fascinating statement. What knowledge did I have? The minute I'm awake, I have the knowledge that I'm awake. This wakefulness is comprising of what? Is this my conclusive state? Is this my conclusive experience? What is this wakeful state comprising of? He says it is only reduced. The entire waking experience of yours, year after year, life after life, in any form of life, the entire waking experience is reduced only to the interaction of the Gyan Indriya and the Shabda Vishaya. The sense objects and the sense organs are having their relation. They actually have a relation between each other. The sense Indriya and the sense organs and the sense objects are related to each other inseparably, like two sides of a coin. This knowledge is all that is comprised of in your state, that state where you get to know about this knowledge of sense objects. That state is called Jagrat Avastha. That means all my experiences, whether I've gone to Himalayas or I go to Mars or I go deep under the ocean and I discover a Patal Lok. पुराणों में तो कहा है पाताल लोक है, स्वर्ग लोक है, अब कहाँ है? Supposing a human being develops enough scientific measures, because science can only give us instruments to measure further, like internet has come to us to convey this knowledge, etc. So science will give us many instruments further to compound on this sensory knowledge. Therefore, supposing science tomorrow develops us enough to go into the bed of the ocean, and then you go keep excavating and suddenly you come across a new loka, patal lok has come. So what has it boiled down to? Information that your senses have got. Where, whatever be the information, whatever be the experience that you get in your world, which is only boiling down to iska shabd kya hai, sparsh kya hai, roop kya hai, ras kya hai, gandh kya hai, that is it. All your waking state. This is a big statement to help somebody get established in knowledge. Gives tremendous vairagyam. All of it boils down to what? All of it is reduced to 5 experiences. The entire Jagrat Avastha is reduced to 5 experiences, and that is called waking state. I am awake. Nobody told me, but it is my experience. Further question on it. Where has this waking state emerged and where does it disappear? कहाँ चला जाता है ये? The minute I fall off to sleep, even now, thanks to internet, you have less people sleeping. Otherwise, in physical class, invariably, you will have one person sleeping. नींद सबसे अच्छी वेदांत क्लास में आती है, पता नहीं क्यों. Here, I don't know if your cameras are off, I don't know if you're sleeping or not, but if your cameras are on, then I can see that you're not sleeping, you're all attentive. And I haven't seen so much attention in a physical class because you always find someone or the other drifting away. In a physical class, they drift away. Why do you drift away? Where are you drifting away? You're drifting away means your physical body is here. But somehow, बैठे बिठाए यहाँ पे कुर्सी पे बैठे बैठे. Forget this. My another common example is, when these hard workers, the laborers, after a very long hard working day, they go off to sleep on a moving truck which is full of rocks, pebbles, rocks. पत्थर पे सो जाते हैं. नींद उनको वहां आ जाती है. Interesting. कहाँ चला गया ये पूरा जागृत? कहाँ आया और कहाँ गया? This is a question that answer is very easy intellectually. But if you observe it, because the answer lies in observation of it, recognition of it, the entire avastha kahan aaya? Where did it come? Did it come outside of me? Did the waking world come outside of me after I woke up? Because in the waking world, me and the object have come together. The minute I woke up, I smelled, even before my eyes opened. In South Indian homes, not anymore, I don't think so, or very few homes maybe, but in our older generation times, morning would be, before you wake up, your nose would have got a whiff of fresh coffee, freshly brewed coffee. जो आज दुनिया में इतनी पॉपुलर हो गई है, homes have only been having fresh coffee. Fresh, the minute even your eyes haven't opened up. And if you were children, most often, along with that coffee smell, your ears were hearing your mother ringing the bell in the morning. There was fresh agarbatti smell, or she would have had a bath, etc., etc. Something like that. You are still lazy. You're still thinking, uthu ke nahi uthu. And before that, your senses have taken a whiff of what's there around you. That means what? Don't go into the bylane of saying the world existed before me. Don't go into that bylane, because that's a wrong thinking. Observe clearly that the minute you woke up, the senses started working. जैसे अभी तो आपने आंख भी नहीं खोली, लेकिन आप See, the coffee smell came to you before you opened your eyes. That means Jagrat Avastha got established. Even if I'm half asleep, I am lazy to get out of bed and open my eye also, move my body also. I don't even want to remove the blanket over me. I'm so lazy. I'm like, till 15 minutes more, can I not sleep? But my Jagrat Avasthas got established with what? The engagement of the sense organ and the sense object. That engagement is establishing your waking state. And the conscious awareness of all these perceptions and the world and the objects, the flavors and the sounds, and I saw a beautiful bird, I heard the bird, I smelled the coffee, I saw people around, I saw myself rushing through the day. I'm doing all of this, that consciousness which seems to be identified but is actually not really identified. But that consciousness of all this is Vishwa, is called Vishwa. That Atma, which is owning up this as my life and my perception, along with जुड़ गया स्थूल शरीर से जुड़ के whatever it owns up. I smelled, I felt, I ate, I drank, I liked, I disliked, I have to go, I have to come, I want this, I don't want this, I hate you. Much easier it comes when I love you. So that only comes for your children and for dogs and pets and वो बहुत आसान से निकलता है. There is something lurking behind which has owned all of this into one umbrella, one shelter. It is one canopy. सब कुछ एक के अंदर बैठा दिया आपने. ये पूरा का पूरा इतने variegated experiences, so diametrically opposite. I love my mother, I don't like my mother-in-law. Or I love my mother-in-law, I don't like my mother. Very rare, but whatever. Same you can have this, or the same person. I love my husband now when I'm married, and I hate him now after many years. Or it could be ulta. In the olden days, they didn't even know their husbands, and they ended up loving them, etc. Same person. The whole of it is under one canopy. Isn't this a wonderment? Isn't this fascinating? Isn't this actually very exciting in a way to register this? That so many variegated experiences, and I'm not even enumerating the variegation. So many variegated experiences are all brought under one canopy. I am aware of all of them. This consciousness, awareness, actually it is Atma. That Atma which is identified with the Sthula Sharira and the whole Vyavhar that follows it. Every experience that follows it. That, in that conditioned sense, is called Vishwa. Atma का एक सिर्फ नाम की प्रक्रिया है. Atma hasn't become Vishwa, and that means उसका कोई change nahi hai. It's just a name. It's like how your mother calls you and how your mother-in-law would call you, etc. It doesn't apply. This example I don't think applies in modern times so much, but it still helps convey a lot if you think of the olden times. Or how your sibling calls you and how your friend calls you. When your sibling out of affection will also call you quite a few names. That's their affection. Or your friend calls you by entirely different name. Or forget it. Before you, I don't know about it. I'm kind of a little out of touch maybe with the modern times, thanks to also the present times. But is it, if your name was changed after marriage, are you the same or have you changed? Your name changed. Did you change? It's you the reference point. Of course, don't go into that sense of change. You the reference point in your mother home was called this. In your in-laws home is called this. Naam badal diya. Atma in reference to gross body. Important. Atma in reference, only in reference to gross body is called Vishwa. That Vishwa word includes the entire oneness of you and the world. I am not sure. I've tried conveying it 3 times so far, but I'm still not very confident if I've got this across clearly as I think I have it in my mind. You, the person, and the world is one. Pura perception is one. That is called Vishwa. That knower of it, owner of it, is Vishwa. Atma, knowing this, is Vishwa. This is Jagrat Avastha. What is Swapna Avastha? Now, whatever you have experienced today, say start today, whatever I have experienced today, I saw the beautiful blue bird, purple bird, blue bird. Blue bird I saw, I smelled the coffee, etc., 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 etc. Sab kuch, yat drishtam, yat shrutam, yat granam, yat tastam, etc. Everything that I have contacted, my indriyas have registered. It's the indriya vyavhar. It's the indriya interaction. It is the indriya relation to their objects. Yat trishtam, whatever it is, where Jagrat avasthayam, in the waking state. Whatever I have experienced today in the waking state, that activated Sukshma Sharir, which activated the cross body, the whole of it has gone as an impression. I'm registering everything. I'm sorry, I'll repeat the words. The impression of all the Gyan Indriyas activations are happening. I may not register all, but all of it is going in. There is nothing like a delete file here. There is a delete file called forgetfulness, which is a very big relief to human life, living life. Natural forgetfulness is the erase button, delete button that we have in our softwares or hardwares, wherever. Erase, because holding too much of information is useless. So naturally, there is this capacity in, it's seen in Sukshma Sharir that you forget a lot of non-essential, what you don't call essential. You just forget about it. So you don't even remember many times what I had for breakfast 2 days ago. Forget it. Sometimes you don't even remember in the morning what I had today. So there is this, though you've had it, the impression is there. You're conducting life, you're conducting activities, you're interacting with people, you are busy. There is so much happening in your life. All of it, and I mean all of it can only be connected under that one canopy called you. That whatever you have experienced is, keep it as a recording, say it as a recorded impression. It's an impression. Sukshma Sharir is extremely subtle matter. Whatever is happening in the waking state is all impacting, leaving its, that impression is because of which you recognize it. There are some impressions that are very strong that we hold on to. They are strong because we have strongly identified with them. Most often you can find your likes and dislikes, strong ones, rag, dvesh, jisko hum kehte hain. Most often you will find that there are very strong impressions in you. That's why there are likes and dislikes. Our impressions formed, I may see the bird today, I don't repeat it, it doesn't come back. Unless until it left me intrigued, like today it has left me intrigued and I spent some thoughts after it and I wanted to Google and find out what bird is this? How come I mean, it was something very different. इतना मैंने thought विचार कर लिया उसके ऊपर of something that I saw It pushed my subtle body to seek an answer, pushed my hands to seek Google, Google Guru, Google Guru. I wanted the Google Guru invoked because I needed to know what that bird is. So only a Guru could have told me. So I invoked the Google Guru. Now everything that I did about that Yat Drishtam. What was Drishtam? Only one bird, which I saw. Yat Drishtam, I saw. I need not have registered it as much as I registered it. There are so many things others I saw, I didn't register them. I've not registered every flower that I saw on the tree. I did not register every bird that I saw. There was something that stood out today to my attention, something that left a deeper, relatively, a deeper impression. Yat drishtam, yat shrutam, or any of the activities of the Indriya, when they are recorded inside, the impression is held for a little while through repetition of thoughts. Your impressions get stronger. This is the principle in the Gita. Krishna has said it very clearly to Arjuna. It is when you repeat the thoughts constantly that the impressions get stronger and firmer. I liked the bird. My first impression of the bird was I liked it because it gave me some pleasant sensation. It was different, so I liked it. I like different things. So supposing I'm not the person who likes different things, I like common things. That bird would have given me ये कैसी bird है? I would have said. ये कैसी है? बड़ी अजीब नहीं है? ब्लू कलर कैसा हो गया इस बर्ड का? I would have said ये कैसी bird है यार? उसकी चोंच कैसी है? क्या है ये bird? I could have said that. Or I would have said, oh my God, what is this bird? Wow, look at the blue color. It's so fluorescent. Look at the beak. Look at that. And look at what, the voice was so different from the appearance of the bird. Look at the call of the bird. And you could hear them too, definitely. One calling the other in a different direction. Now, two different people could have had of the same perception a totally two different reaction to it. Both of them have held it strongly enough. Compared to the other bird, I didn't even register. That was probably along with the hundreds of pigeons that keep moving around every day because you see them every day. Now that impression that is a little more stronger than the rest of them, that impression is called vasana. It's not just of what you've heard, but why I liked it or disliked it is vasana janita. I already have previous impressions. It's not that I'm starting impressions today. Remember, avidya is anadi, anirvachaniya. So I've already exhibited lot of life before I can see I have come to Vedanta saying this life. I've already collected a lot of impressions. I didn't choose them. But I had a choice of how I dealt with those impressions. Many of us, most of us, why do we need self-help books, or we need psychologists, or we need stress, or we need antidepressants, anti-anxiety? We need all kinds of things in the world today. Why? Because our connection with our own self of what is coming in us is not aware to us. We don't let it fall into our awareness in a neutral way so that I can clean it up if necessary. आपके घर में अगर कुछ unwanted creature आ जाए, what will you do with it? Will you keep it? Before it multiplies, you must get rid of it. Because once it multiplies, your job increases. But the idea is very clear to you. You have to rid it. Now, all our waking state is a very essential. I forgot to mention that still as important. I have mentioned it, but highlight the importance enough that why waking state is so important. That waking state is essential because everything that's falling in can be dealt with here and nowhere else. So all the reactions that are coming from my past impressions, they are all mixing it up. These indriyas are now into unmanifest state, like I said yesterday, that is called sleep. Nitra samaye, at that time, some of these impressions manifest partially. बस ऐसे जैसे जागे बंद हुए. Some of these strong impressions just erupt. Your waking state experiences that you have considered as very important, whether in like or in dislike, in hate or in envy or in jealousy or in affection or in kindness or in whatever, doesn't matter. Whatever value you have given to your waking state in the positive or in the negative sense, that recorded message inside to yourself. When you have gone off to sleep, some of them spark up. It's something like you have latent electricity when you, especially in winters, when you see them. What is it called? I think it's when your woolens have that, and then suddenly you get this electricity, the latent electricity. It's like that. It suddenly sparks up. There's no electrical power anywhere, but the heat, the friction. Sorry? Static. That's right. Thank you. Static electricity. That's the word. Static electricity. That static electricity that suddenly emerges a spark. Yes, static. It just emerges a spark. And it gives you a current also. So some of us are very electrocuting person. I don't know what the right word is. So in winters, very often you have to keep touching the wood when you remove your woolens or you put on, because you are susceptible to a lot of static electricity. In sleep, these impressions are like static electricity. They just come up. Without your will, without your power, without your control over them, they just erupt. And a dream world is created out of your own vasanas, out of your own impressions. An entire waking world that you are experiencing now, you hold impressions on it, you are not aware of them, most of them. Cyclical observation, or you just, the indriyas take, laya is the right word, they take the laya, they return back to their source as if become unmanifest. In that unmanifest state is called nidra, where now none of your sukshma sharika activity of the indriya is working dominantly. In that state, suddenly, like a static electricity, the strong impression surfaces. For a moment, for a flash, like a flash. And that flash, in your dream experience, when you are dreaming, it doesn't look like a flash. The dream experience in the dream is an entire experience in entirety, having its own time, its own space, its own elements, its own body, its own plurality. The dream world has its own reality. In the dream, that reality you have dismissed when you are woken up, no doubt about it. But in your dream, sometimes when we wake up and we are really shaken up because you had a strong dream, sometimes a dream wakes you up because it's so strong and so powerful. The dream woke you up. That dream waking you up from the dream world to the waking world, Shastra equates it to your waking up from this cyclical waking dream sleep to actual liberation is a similar phenomenon, they say, where the whole experience of the three, the day you realize it, you will see it like a dream, like the Sanskrit term of it is, I'm sorry, the English equivalent of it is like a dream lion. When you see a lion in a dream chasing you, शुरू में तो कोई बात नहीं, you are running, but when you see the lion approaching you very, very closely and about to put your foot in the mouth to satiate its hunger, after all, why can't you be a dani at that time and say, आज का मेरा दान यही है? Let the tiger satiate the hunger out of my body at that time. No, you are running for your life. You are scared. You are sweating. पता नहीं क्या क्या हो रहा है. And भगवान तो सबसे ज्यादा उसी वक्त याद आ रहा है. ये भगवान तो है कि नहीं? Prove to me that you exist and save me. And then, sure enough, Bhagwan has to come from somewhere or the other, whatever your words are. That time, suddenly you're a spiritual person, because without God, life seems absolutely unmanageable. Because right there, the lion has just about taken your running foot, जो धरती के ऊपर था उस वक्त, and it had just about. And sure enough, Bhagwan came. And how? Woke you up. That lion woke you up. That Swapna Simhavat is the Shastriya term for it. Like Svat is like the dream lion. Simha, Swapna, that you saw in your dream and you came to waking. When the whole of this waking world and its experiences, to your understanding, appear to be non-essential, to appear to us as non-essential, and suddenly, he says, you develop that detachment from it. You develop a complete vairagyam from it. You develop a disinterest. I'm going back into my favorite topic. But the idea here is only that you, at that time, are experiencing a world which looks very real, which has no reality to the waking world otherwise, to your current waking day. But your dream world came not from your current waking day. Your dream world came from your all accumulated impressions, not just like for today, whatever I accumulate, आज रात को मुझे उसी में से सपना आएगा. It's not like that. Your subtle body is one. It's gone completely into it. That's why some people who hold it very strongly have repetition of dreams sometimes. And we are not talking about those dreams that are into the future. Don't worry about that. Idea here is the dream that is seen is entirely born from your own impressions that you have gathered in your waking world. This is very important. I may not be able to deliver all the importance at one time. It's not possible, probably, for me. Why is this so essential? Because I consider myself a limited person here in the waking world. मैं एक इंसान हूँ ना, मैं तो बस इतना ही हूँ. मेरे बस में क्या है? मेरे से क्या होता है? मैं कौन हूँ after all? I don't have so much power. I don't have so much capacity. I am just a person. What can I do? What am I after all? These are all my conclusions about myself, जिससे मैंने ये दुनिया जी है. बहुत जरूरी बात है. I know you may have to listen to it a couple of times, I think, to really get the gist of it. But I'm glad, in a way, this is a part of your waking world today. It's your waking experience. At least this experience has come. Suddenly, when you see the whole world and I am experiencing from that limited eye sense, पूरा जगत मैं देख रही हूँ from a faulty sense. It's not a real sense. I am not that small person. I'm not good for nothing. I'm not even very good. Both of them are assessments of this Sharira. I'm neither this nor that. But I have lived lives, not one life. I have lived lives with this notion. And I have had experiences, compounding experiences. And I have repeated my impressions a billion times because we all understand how easy it is to hold an impression and how tough it is to break one's impression. Even a habit is so difficult to break. What is it? If I have started, that's why they say, no, first impressions are the last impressions. And you get married, I really do not know what happens in the modern times, in the present times, but in our generation, when we all got married up, didn't we all get advices from our mothers? Your first impressions are your last impressions in your sasural. Be careful. Baapre. I don't know, I'm sure it still happens. Dunya zyada badalti nahi hai, hai na? True. And you have to be, because it's a fact. Your first impressions are your last impressions. उसके बाद जिंदगी भर आप सही भी करते रहो, लेकिन आपके जो गॉगल्स उन्होंने पहन लिए हैं, आपको उस गॉगल से ही देखेंगे. वो गॉगल्स उसके बाद होता, आप कोई नहीं हो. दैट्स द बेस्ट पार्ट. आपको खुद को पता यू आर नॉट दैट पर्सन एंड आप कोशिश कर रहे हो दिखाने की द पर्सन यू आर, बट गॉगल्स चढ़ चुके हैं. व्हाट डज दैट मीन? Look at, that's why I'm sorry. I probably have so much value of Vedanta that I am not able to express it sometimes. Why Vedanta is necessary in life. I just can't bring it down to saying to give you success in life. It's not important. You earn money, it's not important. You make relationships harmonious, it's not important. Because what you've done to yourself, if you can start looking at that, that is the only essential thing. Everything else will follow. और ये समझाना पता नहीं मुश्किल है, because you can't draw people to this. Everybody thinks they start off by thinking, I'm a perfect person. मुझ में क्या कमी है? प्रॉब्लम तो उस इंसान में है, प्रॉब्लम तो उसमें है, मेरे में थोड़ी कोई प्रॉब्लम है. So it's so difficult to, unless until, anyway, coming back to the point, I'll conclude over there. The important thing here is, just as people are looking at us with their goggles, we are looking at people with our goggles. हमारे भी अपने बन चुके हैं impressions through which we are also looking at people. That we keep looking at things from our point of view, those impressions are already recorded. पीछे से जैसे तानपुरे के जैसे बचता रहता है. I look at things for which, if I'm not a nature loving person, I'll give you an example once. I won't take the name because that's not necessary. But I once went to say, I'm giving ambiguous things. I went to see Niagara Falls. I was no longer, quote unquote. I was very fond of falls once upon a time. Kids. I used to think that the ultimate of nature. So I had to, school में पढ़ा Niagara Falls और these. So अरे life में अगर एक बार Niagara Falls देख लिया ना, तो life बन गया अपना. That kind of thing. बम्बईया भाषा. Life बन गया अपना अगर हमने Niagara Falls देख लिया एक बार. And I am so excited because I am going to get my dream fulfilled. Most of this is fiction, okay? So I'm just cooking up a story to convey the point. So you are so kind of excited and looking forward. 3 महीने से planning हुई है to the extent कि उस दिन मैं ये पहनूंगी because your shoes and your etc. So my feet can't get wet and I am going to be reveling in it. Fortunately, I know present moment is an important moment. So for me, that a moment becomes even more important because it's going to be once in a lifetime. something that I'm going to fulfill now. And I go with a person who doesn't love falls or who doesn't like nature at all, who's keen to the shop in the falls, the tourist, what are they called? Souvenir shops. Who wants to drag me to the souvenir shop and I want to drag the person to the falls. Now, what has happened? Person, why is the person moving towards that and me moving up? Is one better than the other? No. It's not that the person who's going to the souvenir shop is not as good as I am, who thinks I am, because I like nature. So I think I am a little different from object loving person and nature loving person. A nature object loving person thinks I'm the most boring person on the planet. Cursing me inside कि मैं इस इंसान के साथ क्यों आए? Because this person doesn't even want to go to a shop. There are so many exciting things in a shop. My example is to convey this. Why am I drawn to the fall even before I knew it? And why is the person equally strongly drawn to the shop even before the person knows it? And this is where I'm going to conclude with this sentence. Those impressions and inclinations have already set a momentum in this lifetime. And that is what is important in chanting these words. शास्त्र की chanting क्यों बहुत जरूरी है? And I have till today, I feel, I know everybody tells me you've conveyed it enough. I still feel I've never conveyed importance enough, because the importance is not just this lifetime. If your impression of these words through chanting alone, the impressions can happen. If the impressions are formed strong, you will not helplessly be drawn to the meaning of this, even if you've not understood in this lifetime. They will force you to seek an answer. First time we heard the word, for most of you who come to Vedanta, you know something inspired you. एकदम से थोड़ी आ गए आप ऐसे ही. Something propels you, motivates you, and till today there's been enough anugraha in our life somewhere. The Shastra gives you this anugraha, that there are people who are taking their time out for what? Certainly in my class, I'm not going to tell you how to get more fame, more power, more money, more status, harmony. I'm not going to tell you any of that. I can't use Vedanta for that. I'm not saying it's not useful. I don't know. Only thing that I find this knowledge useful for most is to recognize your own self. That if you know who you are, and every effort put in it, even drop by drop, the more you repeat, you know what will happen today because of this chanting? Impressions formed. You don't know this, but the knowers know. This is the only way the impressions get formed. And that is why those children's classes are very, very essential. Children are easily impressionable. Shastra Vidya must be given at that age. You can't give them Vidya, but you give them through stories and Puranas, and there are programs like that. Start with the children also, because this lifetime let them strengthen if they are already inclined for it. And so this, I've taken this important to say why that impression will make your waking day today. If you didn't have impression for Vedanta, you can't sit through this class. One class you can still sit through. You can't sit through class after class. That is why you can't bring somebody to Vedanta, even if you bring them, unless until there is this. So does this mean it's useless? No. Maybe some bhagyam, you will keep listening to it and that impression keeps forming. And someday that impression will be loud enough to displace all other impressions. And this alone will become important and mandatory. बाकी सब होता रहता है जीवन में, सब होता रहता है, कुछ भी हो जाए सब होता रहता है. So whatever is there in the Jagrat Avastha, That alone is what you're carrying. And here in the Jagrata Avastha, you have full faculty, full availability. Nature's grace is too much. Nature's gifts are too many. You have full availability to do what you want with these impressions. You can remove them, delete them, modify them, destroy them once and for all. But it will need that work. So, what is the dream state? He says. This is now we've moved on to self-improvement and the spiritual development part of it. But average person क्या करता है? And बच्चों को, that's why अगर supposing किसी के parents have been very very cruel or very very harsh or very very strong, or they carry that with them in their sleep and they wake up frightened. Now what is that impression, etc., etc. So they dream, they get up with fear. A newborn child, don't we all know that? However much we may be, hi, so sweet, the child is experiencing their own world. और suddenly हंसने लगते हैं, out of nowhere suddenly they're like, सोते सोते हंस रहे हैं. You are seeing a sleeping child, but the child is seeing another world. Before the child knows of his own body, before the child has come to say, I am this person, the child is already exhibiting life through impressions. That is why in our Vedic culture, and however much whoever's working for its revival, really honor you people, because however much you emphasize the importance of the Vedic dharmas and the Vedic culture of life is less, because those sanskars, impressions are otherwise called sanskars. Vasanas are otherwise called sanskars. Sanskars is a positive term, vasanas is not, is a general term. I won't say not positive, is a general term. Sanskar is specifically जो पुरुषार्थ करके डाले गए or the higher. So every time you teach a child or you do it yourself, say I'm doing the Gayatri Mantra, every time I do this, there is a counter impression strengthened for the right thing. So the life management automatically is eased or changes if the value structure changes behind it. And the value structure will automatically change when you see the value behind all this. So I will stop here. Sukshma Sharir, the Prapanchaha, that world which got generated from the Vasanas, which you accumulated in your Jagrata Avastha, that is called Swapna Avastha. And the Sukshma Sharira Abhimani, in that state, you are aware of that whole world and you yourself with your form and body. You running was also a part of the dream world. The lion was a part of the dream world. The forest was a part of the dream world. You were a part of the dream world. Your fear was a part of the dream world. The God that you invoked there was a part of your dream world. This whole Triputi, उसको देखने वाला सूक्ष्म शरीर अभिमानी आत्मा तैजस इति उच्यते is called Taijasa. Thula Sharira Abhimani is, Abhimani means owning up, not proud, arrogant. Just owning up, identified with. स्थूल शरीर से जुड़ा हुई आत्मा का नाम है विश्व. सूक्ष्म शरीर से जुड़ी हुई आत्मा का नाम है Taijasa. वो एक्चुअली में नहीं जुड़ती. Remember the example of the light from those holes? It appears कि वो जुड़ी हुई है. When it comes out from that diamond shape and onto the wall, don't you think that the light is judi hui to that diamond shape? But is light really judi hui to the diamond shape? Same way, Atma is not judi hui to any of them, which we saw through the Stula, Sukshma, Sharira, Karana, Vyatirik. That's why the author took that first. Sukshma Sharira Abhimani Atma Taijasa Iti Uchyate. With this, I will end the class. We'll do deep sleep. Let me complete this today. ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु, सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु, सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु, सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु, सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्ताम् न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषा, गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम्, लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु, काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः, पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी, देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः, ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति।